You cried at the end of Toy Story 3. I know you did. Everybody did. It's one of the most celebrated scenes in animation history. A boy on the edge of adulthood looks at his childhood toys, has a quiet moment of realization, and decides to pass them on to a little girl who will love them the way he once did. It's beautiful, and if you really pay attention to the film, none of it happened the way you think it did. Andy Davis never decided to give his toys away. The epiphany, the learning to let go, none of that exists in the dialogue. From the first scene to the last, Andy's only goal was to keep his toys. And the beloved ending that made a generation of adults sob in a movie theater was the direct result of a forged sticky note written by a toy. Here is the line that changes everything. After finding a post-it note on his box of toys, Andy calls out to his mom in the hallway.
Hey Mom, you really think I should donate these?
Listen to his phrasing, a teenager reading an instruction he thinks came from his mother, asking for confirmation, and of course his mom never wrote that note. Woody did. To understand how badly the ending has been misinterpreted, you need to see what Andy actually does throughout the entire movie, because the cultural take on this character is that he gradually loosens his grip on childhood over the course of the film. He starts out attached, and by the end he's grown enough to release that attachment. That's the arc everyone assigns to him, but the film doesn't support it, not even a little. Andy's position on his toys is established the moment his mother walks into his room with boxes and trash bags and gives him an ultimatum.
Okay, Andy, let's get to work here. Anything you're not taking to college either goes in the attic or it's trash.
She's not subtle about it. She floats the idea of donating them directly.
What are you going to do with these toys? Should we donate them to Sunnyside?
No.
And Andy's response is a simple no. One word, no hesitation, no internal conflict, just no. She pushes further, suggesting maybe he could sell them online, and he shuts that down too.
Maybe sell them online?
Mom, no one's gonna want those old toys. They're junk.
If you pay attention to his use of the word junk, Andy is being strategic. He's framing the toys as worthless to kill any reason his mother might have for getting rid of them. If they're junk, nobody would want them, which means there's no argument for donating or selling them. He's protecting them by devaluing them. And that lie is what nearly gets them all killed, because later, when his mom trips over the trash bag in the hallway, she has no reason to open it and check. Her son told her the toys were junk, so she treats the bag like junk and puts it in the trash. Andy's defensive strategy backfires and launches the entire chain of events. Sunnyside, Lotso, and the incinerator. All of it traces back to Andy calling his toys junk to protect them. And what does he do next? He grabs a trash bag and starts loading the toys into it, but he carries it toward the attic. The movie spells this out explicitly. The bag was obviously never meant for the curb. It was a storage method for the attic. The only reason the toys end up outside is because Andy gets distracted helping Molly carry a box downstairs. The attic ladder folds up and knocks the bag off the landing, and his mom trips over it in the hallway and assumes it's trash. And she puts it on the curb herself. And some of you might say, okay, but maybe Andy changed his mind over the course of the movie. Maybe all the events at Sunnyside and the dump push him toward letting go. The problem is, Andy doesn't know about any of that. He had no idea his toys went to Sunnyside or escaped a totalitarian daycare regime. He has no idea they nearly died in an incinerator. From Andy's perspective, his toys were in the attic the entire time. And the very last thing Andy says before he discovers the note proves his mindset hasn't shifted at all. He's saying goodbye to Buster and he turns to his sister.
Okay, Buster. Now don't let Molly near my stuff.
My stuff. Still possessive, still guarding. This is a guy walking out the door to college and his final instinct is to make sure nobody touches his stuff. And remember, we're going strictly by what the movie shows us here. The dialogue, the stage directions, all the character actions, those don't lie. Even when the music and the lighting are trying to tell you a different story. There is no arc toward release happening here. Andy's psychological baseline from the first scene to the last is that the toys are mine and they stay with me. So what actually changes his mind? After the toys survive the incinerator and make it home in the garbage truck, they end up back in the attic in Andy's room. Woody ends up in the college box exactly where Andy put him. Everyone is safe, the status quo is restored. But Woody doesn't want the status quo. And to understand why, you need to remember what just happened to him. Just minutes before this scene, Woody and every toy he cares about were sliding down a conveyor belt into an industrial furnace. They held hands, they accepted death. The aliens saved them at the last possible second with a crane claw, but Woody looked into that fire and saw where the road ends for a forgotten toy. A landfill, an incinerator. And now he's supposed to climb into an attic box and wait in the dark for years, maybe decades, decades, until Andy's mom eventually cleans the house again and throws them out for good. He knows where that road leads now. He's been to the end of it. On top of all of that, Woody spent time at Bonnie's house earlier in the film. He saw what it looked like when a toy had a purpose. A little girl with a massive imagination who plays with her toys constantly. He experienced the thing that toys in this universe live for: active play. So Woody is standing at a crossroads between two futures he's now personally witnessed: Bonnie's house or the attic, life or a slow crawl back to that furnace. And he makes a choice. Woody writes down the address on a post-it. He knows the address because he found it earlier on Bonnie's backpack.
1225 Sicko.
And this wasn't impulsive. Woody had the address memorized from earlier in the film. He had a pen, a post-it, and a window of time while Andy was distracted. Every piece was in place. Now watch what happens when Andy comes back into the room. Just notice the sequence. He sees the note first, then he opens the box. Then he looks at the toys. Then he looks at the note again. He's not having an emotional moment with his childhood. He's processing what the note is telling him to do. And then comes the line, the single most important line in the entire franchise.
Hey, Mom. So, you really think I should donate these?
He calls out to his mother. He doesn't say, "I've decided to donate these," or "I think I want to give these away." He just says, "You really think I should?" The word "you" does all the work. Andy has attributed this note to his mother. He believes she wrote it. He's asking her to confirm a decision she supposedly already made for him. And here's where the deception locks into place: his mother's response from the hallway.
It's up to you, honey. Whatever you want to do.
She doesn't deny writing the note. She can't. She's in the hallway. She can't see the box. From her perspective, his son is probably just circling back to her earlier suggestion about Sunnyside. Maybe he's having second thoughts about keeping all the stuff in the attic. She gives a supportive, open-ended answer: whatever you want to do. And in doing so, she accidentally validates the entire forgery. The loop closes perfectly, and Andy thinks his mom wrote the note. His mom thinks Andy is processing her earlier suggestion. Neither of them knows the truth, and Woody, hiding in the box, gets exactly the outcome he engineered. But Andy had an out, right? His mom literally said, "It's up to you." She didn't order him to do anything. Couldn't he have just crumpled the note and sealed the box for the attic? Well, sure, if he thought it was a random note, but Andy doesn't think the note is random. He thinks his mom, who already pushed him to donate the toys that morning, went a step further and found a specific child to give them to. He's not weighing a neutral suggestion, but rather what he believes is a vetted parental decision. "It's up to you" sounds like freedom, but Andy is already operating inside the frame the forgery built. The out was never real because Andy never knew it was there. So Andy drives to 1225 Sycamore. He's carrying the box that used to say attic on it. Then he walks up to a house he's never been to, looking for a girl he's never met because a sticky note told him to. When he arrives, he introduces himself.
Someone told me you're really good with toys.
Someone told me. Andy doesn't know who Bonnie is. He's trusting that whoever wrote the address picked a good home, and because that someone is who he thinks is his mom, he just trusts it completely. And here's the thing, he has every reason to. Earlier in the film, when Andy's mom drops off the initial donation box at Sunnyside, Bonnie's mom is the one who greets her.
Wow, haven't seen you in ages.
Is this Bonnie? Look how big you are!
The two mothers already know each other, so when Andy reads a note with Bonnie's name and address on it, he isn't trusting a random recommendation. He's trusting what he thinks is his mom's social network. Woody's forgery exploits a real relationship that Andy would have no reason to doubt. And what follows is one of the most emotionally loaded sequences in all animation. Andy pulls each toy from the box and introduces them to Bonnie one by one.
This is Jessie, the roughest, toughest cowgirl in the whole West. She loves critters, but none more than her best pal, Bullseye. This is Rex, the meanest, most terrifying dinosaur who ever lived. Roar! Buzz Lightyear, the coolest toy ever. Look, he can fly, and shoot lasers.
Every introduction is packed with love and memory. This is a guy who grew up with these toys and is clearly struggling with the act of handing them over. The conventional take is that Andy is processing his growth and choosing maturity. But remember, he's only here because a post-it note told him to. Without that note, Andy would have been halfway to college right now, with Woody in his box and the rest of the toys sealed in the attic. This entire scene only exists because Woody wrote an address on a piece of paper. And then Bonnie looks inside the box and sees Woody.
My cowboy.
Woody? What's he doing in there?
Andy knows he didn't put Woody in that box. Woody climbed in himself. Andy is genuinely confused, and this is where the mask almost slips because when Bonnie reaches for Woody, something involuntary happens. The pullback is instinctive. Andy's body reacts before his brain catches up. That's the screenwriters telling us his raw, unfiltered impulses to protect Woody and keep him. You don't instinctively pull back something you've already decided to release. The hesitation is what comes next. It's Andy's conscious mind catching up to his reflex about freezing. He's standing on a stranger's porch, holding a toy he never meant to put in this box, realizing he now has to choose in real time whether to hand over the one thing he actually wanted to keep. The instinct proves Andy's real desire. The hesitation proves he knows he's trapped. The forgery put him on this porch. His body is rejecting what the note set in motion, and his mind is scrambling to rationalize it. But he's already there. He's already given away every other toy, and he's standing in front of a little girl who just watched him pull a cowboy doll away from her. And he thinks his mom sent him here, so he talks himself into it. In real time, you can hear him rationalizing.
Now, Woody, he's been my pal for as long as I can remember. He's brave, like a cowboy should be, and kind and smart. But the thing that makes Woody special is he'll never give up on you. Ever. He'll be there for you, no matter what. You think you can take care of him for me?
That speech is aimed at himself. He's building a case for why this is okay and convincing himself that the directive on that note was the right call, and he manages to do it, but barely. But wait, so Woody wasn't part of the note, right? Andy put Woody in the college box. Woody snuck into the donation box. So doesn't Andy giving away Woody prove he's capable of an independent, unmanipulated choice? Well, look at the situation Andy is actually in. He's on a stranger's porch. He's already handed over every other toy based on what he thinks is his mom's directive. He's deep inside the social contract of the donation. And then Bonnie spots Woody and reaches for him, names him. And Andy's instinct is to pull back. The only reason he pushes through that instinct is because the entire context of the visit was built by that forgery. The note put him on the porch. The note established the expectation. Woody, being unscripted, doesn't free Andy from the gravity of the situation the note creates. It just means Woody's plan caught more than Woody intended. And this is where the film actually gets more interesting, not less, because Woody's motivation here is love. That's what the movie shows us. He watched Bonnie play. He knows what active imagination does for a toy. He knows the attic is a slow, quiet death for his friends. His choice to forge that note was agonizing and parental. He's sacrificing his bond with Andy to save his family. The film supports this just as clearly as it supports the forgery itself. But the cost of that sacrifice is Andy's agency. The boy didn't choose to let go. He was guided to a doorstep by a forged piece of paper and a miscommunication with his mother. The emotional weight of that scene is definitely real. The tears are real, but the epiphany that supposedly caused all of it was manufactured by a toy with a pen. Think about what the Toy Story trilogy is supposed to be. In the first film, Woody learns to share Andy's love. In the second, Woody chooses Andy over immortality in a museum, accepting that his owner will someday outgrow him. And in the third, audiences believe Andy completes the circle by learning to let go from his side. But the film tells us that the third act doesn't belong to Andy. It belongs to Woody. Woody is the one who makes the choice. Woody is the one who weighs the options. Attic means preservation, but purposelessness. Bonnie means play and fulfillment, but it also means severing the bond with Andy forever. And Woody makes that call for everyone. He writes the note, climbs into the box, and engineers the goodbye from the inside. Earlier in the film, Woody fought tooth and nail to get back to Andy. He was furious with the other toys for not wanting to go home.
I have a kid. You have a kid. Andy. And if he wants us at college or in the attic, well, then our job is to be there for him.
That's Woody in Act 2. Loyal, absolute. Andy's wishes come first, full stop. By the end of the film, that loyalty has transformed into something more complicated. Woody doesn't abandon his love for Andy, he overrides it. He decides that what Andy wants, preservation in the attic, isn't what the toys need. And rather than accept his owner's choice, he rewrites it. Literally. And that shift is worth sitting with for a second, because it didn't happen overnight. In the first film, Woody's entire motivation was self-interest. He resented Buzz, not because Buzz was a threat to the group, but because Buzz threatened his spot as Andy's favorite. His loyalty to Andy back then was real, but it was tangled up in his need to be the one Andy loved the most. The new Woody who forged that post-it note is not the same toy who knocked Buzz out of a window to keep his place in Andy's bed. Something changed him. And if you had to point to a single single moment where that change crystallized, I think it's the incinerator. Standing in that fire, holding hands with every toy he'd spent years competing with or protecting, all of them facing the same end together, that's what finally made the family feel like family to him. The note isn't just a manipulation of Andy, but evidence of how far he'd traveled as a character. Now, some of you might push back on all of this by pointing to the filmmaker's intent. Lee Unkrich directed this film. In interviews, he's talked about the ending as Andy's moment of growth, and that's a valid piece of context, but we set our rules at the top of this video. We're going by what's on screen. Authorial intent doesn't override the mechanics the writers actually built. They put specific words in Andy's mouth. They had Woody physically write the note. They staged the mother in the hallway where she couldn't see the box. Whether or not the creative team fully realized the implications of those choices, the choices are there. The film is the final record, and the film says Andy was tricked. Now, that doesn't diminish the film. If anything, it makes it better, because what you're left with is a story about a toy who loved his friends enough to manipulate the one person he loved the most. Woody staged Andy's goodbye so his family could survive. Every emotion you felt at the end of Toy Story 3 was real, but the choice that triggered all of it was written on a post-it note by a cowboy doll with a pen in his hand. Andy's epiphany is a lie, and the note proves it. And thank you so much for watching, and click here where I prove that everything you've been told about Zootopia is a lie. Bellwether was never truly in control of anything, it was always the Lynxleys.